Hello guys, Tori here, and I'm here to present my Katrina decklist that I played in day 2 for Austria Premium. I went 5-2 with it, so I didn't bubble out, I got like 20th, my standings were terrible, but like the deck performed pretty well. And since I got first place in day 1, I wanted to show off this little thing. It was a Tavas, I borrowed the deck so I don't have the card, so I just grabbed the Tavas card that I had. I think the most V lists are pretty boring, so I'm like not gonna deck profile that deck. My deck log should be on Fuzzy's site if you want to see them. If you want my honest opinion, you should probably be running a list closer to Maxime's in third place, but my list also had its quirks if you want to try it out as I played it. I think Reply Strike should be in the higher copies, but most of you here will be for the deck profile. I'll talk about Vienna, my experience in Vienna, the venue, and everything else, since it was the first BCS in Vienna at the end of the video. Also shoutouts. So I'll do that at the end, and for now, let's get into the deck profile. So starting from grade zeros, V starter, it doesn't really matter which one. In some builds, the musket names comes up, but like in this build, it doesn't matter. We're playing 4 of the adapted crits. Just being a crit and on defensive being a draw is just insane. That's like the only reason we play it. The Soul in skill doesn't really come up that much because we stay on Asha only during our stride up turn. Then we ride another unit with a force marker usually, but yeah. 4 stride crit because we want to stride as easily as possible. D-Slay OT. This could be the blue OT as well. I haven't really thought too much about it, but like being the 9th crit, that's pretty good. But yeah, you could try the blue OT as well. 3 drop EGs, we're playing Elementari in main deck, and then 4 Heal Guardian heals. These are grade 3 as well, which means you can discard them for striding, and obviously you can, with this deck you don't need too much CB, so if you can like stay on low damage in a lot of matchups, you can just play for tempo, stay at low damage, and then get to Katrina for free, survive their turn, and do another Katrina. So yeah, grade 0 is pretty simple. Grade 1s, we played 4 of the Katrina that searches Asha. If it doesn't find one, it makes a token. So usually this is just another token generator. But if you're going first or not playing too many searchers or at all besides this and some draw power, so when you go first, you really want to find the Asha. So even though it's only top 3, it is a little bit of a help finding the Asha more consistent than without it. And if you're breaking really hard and going first and you need to ride the Asha and you can't stride, because you don't have a grade 3 to discard, you can counterblast 1 retire token, get a drive as well, so it's like a 3+1. Usually if you're in that position, you're probably losing the game anyway, but like the 1 drive can be, another heal. It could be DOT, you never know, so yeah. Also, it puts cards to the bottom instead of shuffling the deck after, which usually leads to better trigger compression, but you can sometimes put 3 triggers on the bottom and it kind of sucks. 4 of Sweetberry. So this card also makes a token on Vanguard and Rearguard, but when you are on grade 3 or higher, it gains plus 5k while being on the field. Being a 13k beat stick is very important, especially on Asha stride up turns. Being a 13k is huge. It also soul charges when you are on grade 3. Again, in this current deck list, that soul doesn't really matter. Soul is rarely an issue. But usually it leads to better compression as well, so yeah, that's pretty cool. Then we're playing 2 of the space issues. We can't really fit in too many more, but if it's in your drop zone, at the end phase, retire 2 tokens, bounce it back to your hand. It's like a little bit of reusability. Against some decks, clearing out your circles is very important. You want to leave empty circles against like chaos and stuff. So that's important. Also, yeah, another token generator, if that wasn't obvious. A couple of one-offs. I played 1 Honolulu, since you can call this off Katrina. This was fine. I think Honolulu is not as good as a lot of people thought, but it's still a decent inclusion against Rogue and stuff. So also, like, if you get defensive OT'd before your Katrina swing and you're playing against the deck where the Honolulu is relevant, you can just call this out. So we have a couple ways to combat defensive OTs pre-Katrina swing in this deck, which is also pretty nice. Roof. This is a token generator only on Vanguard. If you go first, you get... Well, if you rode up first into grade 1, you get 1 token. If you rode up second, you get 2 tokens, which is pretty good. But another skill that it has when it or another unit is placed from your deck. You can retire this unit and countercharge 1, which is pretty huge. So yeah, it doubles up as a countercharger and as a 9th token generator, an 11th token generator in this build on grade 1 on Vanguard. Yeah. And Elementaria. Since I cut the Lilga package, the bounceable PGs, I thought there's no reason not to play this with DP running around, and like this is like more of a value build. Well, I guess less value, you can't bounce the PGs, so like just dropping this is good. No reason not to play it. Into grade 2s, Nectar has access to its Cycler, and it's a very good multi-attacker. So on turn 2, making a 10k token is like a little backy because it loses to defensives and heal guards, and you need to commit to making the token before you know whether you will check for a defensive or if they're dropping the heal guard or not. Sometimes you can play for the high roll if you don't care about the damage too much. Also, just being a cycler is great, but what it shines is in stride up turns and Katrina turns, where the tokens that you're calling are going to be huge. So like, if you call a token on 1 force marker with this, the token by itself will usually be 35,000, which is a very, very major number in most cases. So yeah. Coolio. Then I ran 3 Sylvia. I'm running a lot of token generators in my grade 1 slots, so only 3 Sylvia. I was thinking about cutting it to 2, but there are some implications, and especially in stride up turns, of having multiple names of the same unit. You never want to be in a situation where you don't have a unit to copy that you can call out from the deck. So that's why I just stayed on 3. It's still a free token. It's pretty good in most situations. My CB spending of choice in early game was 3. This makes a 25k column with a grade 0 and draws you a card. It's a little bit awkward since you need setup, and if you bricks with no early tokens, that can suck. It also doesn't ask for tokens specifically, it asks for grade 0, so sometimes you can just call, if you have 1 token, you call another grade 0, and then call this over to activate the skill. Of course, usually you're losing a 15k shield, which sucks, but sometimes you have to do it. So yeah, hits over defensive and a heal guard, or a heal guard, usually not both, unless you're making the column with a grade 1, 28, and then going first. But yeah, 3 is fine. This is soon going to be replaced by an Elma, most likely, but it had a good run. My tech slots of today were 2 fall lines. So if you call this over a token, it gains plus 5k and you get to draw a card. Again, implications of Katrina's strike turns when they check a lot of defensives or OTs on an OT. You can call these from deck over a token, draw cards, so like you basically at least you have better chances to get back to your next turn again. In early game, this makes so if you had like a double token column, you call over a token and that becomes a 20k column and you get to draw a card. Mostly was playing for that reason. I wanted more ways how to make, on turn 2, make a column that doesn't lose to a defensive or a heal guard. So it was fine, but it's a little bit clunky. Probably will not make into future builds. So that's it for grade 3s. Let's start from the Ashas. So this is obviously the stride up engine enabler. The first skill doesn't really matter. The second skill doesn't come up that often as well. There's like other places you would rather be spending that CB on. But sometimes you have too much CB, or like your hand just doesn't have any CB spenders, and like you have a token generator on your field and your field is not filled up, so there's like no reason not to make another to copy a new unit and fill up your field, so you don't need to call anything from your hand, so it saves in your hand. But we are basically just playing this for the stride up engine, so yeah. And then for Ines, so these are the 4 last cards in our deck, and you're gonna notice that I'm not playing a grade 3 boss unit that makes tokens. Some people are a little bit scared of that, but like if you go first and you go into the Stride Up engine, you're gonna have 2 cards flipped up. With Katrina, you're gonna be flipping the 3rd one, so you make 3 tokens already, which is fine. And if you're going first, you usually have the tokens. Like I don't know where they should be gone. Maybe, I don't know, like another comic bound at your board or something, like stuff happens, but like you should be able to find like at least 3 tokens in the early game for Katrina turn. Besides, Katrina makes 1 token herself, so like that's again, like 3 tokens is usually enough to make like a pretty good turn. So I was like never in a situation where it was too bad. Besides, you can also ride Ines, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1 on Vanguard just to search for another token generator, which is fine, but the main reason we play this card is the 2nd skill. When another rear guard is placed by a card effect, this unit gains plus 5k. So the huge implication of this is both during offensive and defensive turns. In defensive, you can G-guard with the multiple G-guards. In my case, I just ran Rain Breath. You call a unit with this, you usually call another token generator, and you gain plus 10k permanent for the rest of that turn. So against multi-attack decks, pretty good. You can also call Ines with this, and then try to chain into more token generators. Sometimes you can get into crazy chains where you will pump up your Vanguard by a lot, but like that doesn't happen too often. And obviously, offensive turns, you call this and you call multiple token generators off Katrina's skill. And if you call like 4 units, one of them is this. Let's say one of them is multi-attacker and then 2 token generators. So you called 3 other units, and then you're calling 2 more units from the token generators, which means another 2 plus 5Ks, which means this is plus 25k off that alone already, making it 35.8k by itself. Making especially Force 2 turns very threatening, even without the help of Force 1 numbers. So yeah, this card is amazing offensively. In later builds, I could consider maybe running a Vanguard that like Peony that makes 2 tokens on ride on Vanguard, but for now I had no issues with this. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. Going into the G zone. Obviously, the harmonics. I hope this gets accessible to reprint, because it sucks that people have to shell out a lot of money for this. Do what I asked for the Stride Up package. So getting 2 force markers is insane, and the on-hit skill that always procs is copying 1 unit, calling it from the deck, and it gains plus 2k. The plus 2k usually matters against a grade 2, against a grade 2 Vanguard that your opponent has. There's multiple ways you can play out this turn. The max you can use like 6 or 7 attacks. Like a very standard turn, if you stack 2 force markers, is like 4 attacks. You can also split the force markers. So like an example turn would be, let's say these are the force markers, and like you have some of the tokens. I should have prepared this. Whoops. Yeah. Let's say you have some of the tokens, and probably the most consistent way of doing it is with a sweet berry. So, and another. Let's say we just have another token. So yeah, like swing 15, swing. So this gains plus 5k, which is very relevant. 23k. Swing van, and then call another one out. Do a reset, and then this is 15, 20, and this is 25, 30. So there's other ways of playing it out the turn. Obviously, you can multi-attack with the Cycler promo as well. With the Cycler promo, you can also just stack both of the force markers on one side and have bigger Chingus columns, depending on like what you want to do, how afraid you are of defensives, how afraid you are of heal guards. If you stack both of the force markers on one force side, you can also multi-attack with the with the Cycler promo for 30k token, because it's like the token is 5, gains plus 5k from the effect, 10k, 2 force markers, 30k. So yeah, there's multiple ways of doing it, but in general, I really like the Stride Up package. It performed pretty well this weekend. Then we are going into Katrina's. So 3 is enough. I never even went into the third one, I think. I think I used the second one. But yeah, when it comes, flip a unit, call as many tokens as face-up cards that you have. Your flip target is always Cyclone, which buffs the tokens as well. When this is face-up, buffs vanilla units by plus 5k, and tokens are vanilla units. Katrina herself buffs the unit, the token units by another 10k, so 15k on first stride, 20k second stride, third stride, 25k. The tokens become very huge. And on attack, call from your deck as many units as you have tokens available on your board, which means it enables free multi-attacking, and with other multi-attack extenders and like ENS and stuff, you can do funky stuff. Another build, you can even run PGs that when you call them, you can counterblast 1, bounce all of the PGs back into your hand. I just decided to play a more aggro variant. To Vladislavas, this is basically only used against Mega Colony. It's not a great out, but it's better than nothing. So you can discard a card, choose one of your rear guards, search your deck for up to 2 cards with the same grade as that rear guard and reveal them, choose up to 1 card from among them, put it into your hand, and call the rest. So it's basically discard 1, search for the same unit, because you can't call the other one to the board because of Gradora. And then when it attacks, counterblast 1 if you have 2 or more rear guards with the same card name, choose 2 cards from among them and stand them. So this is like a way to do 5 attacks against Gradora, and if you have if you went first, you had multiple force markers, it makes decent numbers, and Gradora hand size sometimes is just like pretty sad, depending on the game state, and sometimes this will get you through the finish line, but yeah, not great, but better than doing absolutely nothing. And then we have 2 of Robertina. Says choose up to 2 normal units with the same card name, put them back from your drop into bottom of the deck, gains plus 15k if you do, and countercharge. So pretty much an easy 30k shield as countercharge, and sometimes you just run out of stuff to call from your deck with Katrina, so you just put back combo pieces like token makers, so it's pretty good. Rain Breath Dragon. This is mostly just a combo with Ines to proc her defensive skill during your opponent's turn. So yeah, when this comes out, choose up to 1 card from your hand, call it to rear guard. Until the end of the turn, it gains resist as well. And if you call the card, it gains plus 5,000 shield. So it's the 20k shield by itself, plus whatever you boosted from Ines skill. And the very last card in the G zone is Kaiwant. Antero, I'm sorry. Soul Blast 1, when this unit is put on G, you may pay the cost. If you do, until the end of the battle, it gains plus 5k. Then if you have 4 rear guards or more, or 1 or less, it gains another plus 15k. This is like a chunky 35k shield. If you use Carpet, you will end your turn sometimes on 2 or 3 units, so it's awkward. It's not always online, but it's pretty good. So yeah, that's the deck profile. Again, I went 5-2. My losses went against Narukami and what was the other loss? God damn it! Yeah, Narukami and Ghidorah. So 5-2 overall record with this deck is pretty good. So yeah, now I will talk about a little bit about Vienna BCS. Again, let's flex this here. Vienna BCS was great. The location was amazing. We were playing in the sports hall of a school. It was spacious. We had good tables. We didn't need to cram. So it was pretty hot that weekend. No AC, obviously, as in most of Europe, but like there was a lot of circulating air because of like open windows and stuff. There was like an outside area you could go to in between rounds. You had a big clock that you could see to track time. This was the first event in Europe that we used Bushi Navi. Judges seem to be pretty happy with it. The event ran smoothly from like Navi side. As a player, like didn't really have any issues, so the judges didn't need to do match slips. I think the only negative, and I think Bushiroad needs to take account of this, if you're running your whole event on an app, then the location has to have free Wi-Fi for you to connect with. Because some people that like come from the UK or don't have roaming for whatever reason, or like maybe they just don't have mobile data, then they had to tether mobile internet from their friends, which is pretty annoying. So yeah, free Wi-Fi would be great in all events that run on Bushi Navi. But yeah, Vienna was great from obviously touristy side and from the venue. Alex did a great job. Alex and Mava, big shout outs. I really hope we get more events in Vienna. It's a little bit closer for me as well. From eastern side of Europe, there's like no close events. So that was great. But yeah, the atmosphere was great. Both days ran smoothly. A little bit of lack of judges as well. But that was remedied by Bushi Navi working really great. So judges actually had more free time. We were visited by some Bushiroad people. Sorry, I don't remember their names, but like they saw the event, so maybe we'll get some kind of feedback as well. But yeah, overall it was great. Really happy with my first place, the sponsored trip to Japan. Second year in a row, I'm going to Worlds. I'll try to qualify for Premium in France, but like I'm not gonna be too upset about it, even if I don't. And yeah, so that was the deck profile. That was my experience. Oh, and yeah, and some shout outs to people. I needed to do that. So to Millie, my girlfriend, made the trip great. Biggest supporter of mine. To Lucas, who always supports me in monetary value. Like a lot of the decks that I own is because of him. So very huge thanks for that. Thank you to pretty much all the testing groups where I do my testing. Brexit, MCC, Shadowcloak Gang, Such Chat, everyone else. My locals are really cracked on the decks that I play, so I get quality practice all the time. Thank you to Tadas, who lent me the deck, Tavas for day one, which I won with. And yeah, and just thank you to everyone in the venue. People were great. Most of the opponents that I fought were amazing people. Also in V finals, I played Michael, which was a really great friend of mine. So ironically enough, my final match was the most stress-free one because I was already happy and I was playing against someone who like I wasn't going to be sad losing to. So yeah, that wraps up my thoughts. Thank you for watching the video and see you next time.